Mark Griffin, as a younger guy in his 20s, was doing DI training like at Quaker Oats organization, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the DEI training that we had in the 90s wasn't the same training that they're conducting now. The training's been changed. It's been kind of, what, in my opinion, hijacked. An agenda's taken it over, and they've kind of formulated and changed the formula within DEI. And that's really what we're trying to change. Is DEI can be a good thing. It is biblical. We are to celebrate our differences. We're to love each other and our differences. But we have a biblical view of DEI versus the secular view.
So are companies required to have a DEI plan?
That's I think important that we talk about today, because that's what made an attorney reach out to me. Companies are being forced into the DEI space. They're being told by government agencies that they're not going to get government contracts. They're being told by granting authorities they're not going to get the grants unless they do DEI training. Without an alternative, which we offer that alternative, they're really stuck getting certified with secular-based DEI training that can be so highly offensive to our Christian brothers and sisters. And that's how we recently, we met with a client that was forced to do DEI training and couldn't find a suitable solution.
So everything that they found was something that was offensive.
Exactly. And when we say offensive, it's really easy to explain, but a lot of people miss it. And a lot of senior pastors, I've talked to a lot of senior pastors in the last couple of months. The real main difference is simple. It's really gender and it's really sex. So the Bible definitively says male and female. That's God's word. There's nothing in the Bible around gender or multiple types of gender or none of that. What's in the Bible is male and female. So that's really the rub, that there's issues with Christian organizations. They don't want to talk about gender, and nor should they be forced to talk about gender, because at the same time, the EEOC's saying don't talk about sex in the workplace. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Yeah, do the training, but don't talk about sex in the workplace. But how do you do that if you're not going to talk about all the different categories?
Yeah, let me add to that too. What I've seen is the E part, the equity, is being kind of being used as a cudgel. So we have a lot of really radical, leaning Marxist type people that go around and do these trainings, and they basically have a chip on their shoulder. The E is being used as part of retribution to get back at whites, so to speak, or Caucasian brothers and sisters. And so there's that going on, and that's highly offensive when you come into an organization and say, look, all you Caucasian whites, you sitting back and you just sit down and shut up. Okay, all you ethnic, you guys are up here and let's talk this out. I mean, that's ridiculous. How are you going to get a workplace that's unified, respectful, that is dignifying everybody, when you have people taking this kind of training that is so isolating and divisive right up front? And this is what's happening by and large with a lot of these secular organizations. They are bringing in radical type people that care nothing about unifying the organization or having people really fully appreciate diversity, but more so embrace this notion of equity and use that as a cudgel to get retribution or any type of leveling the playing field with other folks within the organization.
That's really equality, right?
No, no, that's not equality.
When everybody has the same opportunity,
right? And that's what E should stand for, is fully equal opportunity, but it doesn't reflect that today. Placement in the EOC as of last week, and she is radical about this. This means small and medium-sized businesses and small and medium-sized churches. EEOC is pervasive, right? I mean, that's any.
Sure.
So any potential organization can be a target now with the EEOC and the amount of radicals, all of the sort of, conservative or moralist are out, and the EOC now is being run by radicals. It's going to cause all kinds of problems.
Chaos.
Yeah. So some people in churches would say, well, I don't do business with the federal government. It doesn't apply to me. Not so much. you need to understand what this is, because the EEOC now has this, and it's going to be run as a dictate for all businesses. So you need to understand it.
So you wrote your own DEI from a biblical worldview perspective, right?
Yeah, we absolutely did. We created a training package for DEI that we first start the training. The first 2 hours for leaders is all about religious freedom. We take all the current legislation, the current cases. I mean, last week and the week before, we had incredible, groundbreaking rulings coming out of the Supreme Court that support Christians in business, but many people don't realize that. So in our religious freedom training, we give the baseline of why it's so important to stay principle-based. And you know what, Chuck? This isn't just about Christianity. You turn on the news and that's the first thing, oh, Christians, and the media and all that. This is to help and to bless our brothers and sisters that are Jewish, that are Muslim or Hindu, because they have the same religious freedom as Christians have. But for some reason, the media always seems to, default to the Christians times.
So people that have found your material and are using it could righteously say, when they're asked by whoever's asking, presumably the government,
sure,
are you doing DEI training? Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are, and we certify. We actually give a certification to the participant and to the organization, because we can certify that they're DEI trained. And so that's a 2-hour religious liberty, and then we have a 2-hour DEI, highly interactive, for all employees, including leadership, where we focus on the strengths, where they enjoy going through the training. They learn the differences based on personalities and the Myers-Briggs. They're not focused on the negativity. They're celebrating their differences as a group. So we're looking at human connectedness and the positive aspects that brings to organizations, instead of all this negative that's being dragged into the training facilities.